Why are you asking that question? You already know something's not right, and taking it back to your assembly or whatever, it doesn't look good on the Continental Marshal. So I'm asking not.
Okay.
I'm asking to keep that here, you know. I mean, some of these guys may not like to hear it, whatever, but regardless, the Continental Marshals, you have to pay attention. If you don't send money, that's on you. Don't send money to any fiduciary of anything that is not transparent. So if they go out there sending money to a fiduciary that's not transparent, then it's their own stupidity. I can't fix that. All I can make sure is that I don't. If I know it's transparent, I don't have a problem with nothing.
Okay.
But if it's not, and it's not, and never has been, and you try to ask for bedroom or where the money went, you'll be shut down, alienated, article written about you, whatever the deal is. And I just don't want that. I don't want that for us. I'd rather keep those discussions to us, which is another reason why I don't allow people in here. The discussions we have here are for us, and not for the assembly, you know? Regardless, the assembly still has a job to do to stand up, and the people need to realize what is going wrong in your assembly, and they need to be fighting for that. Because ultimately, Amazon's in charge of your assembly. Your assembly is, and they have to pull their ass together, you know? And if they see corruption coming from the top inside your assembly, they need to address that shit and not worry about what's going on in the Federation. Unless they're sending money and they're not getting a transparent answer as to where the money's going.
So you send somebody $300 a month to her.
But if they're not transparent, why would you keep doing that? And then people are broke and they wonder why they're broke. They're broke because you can spend money to anybody.
Yeah. Anybody that lies for it.
No, I don't know what to say. I used to think that when I was in business. You know, I had a contract. I could type up the contract and enter it and spit out an invoice. I actually thought at one point, what would happen if I ran 1,000 invoices to different companies, corporations, big corporations, ran 1,000 invoices for $15.
They pay it.
And mail it out. When you get a bill coming through a corporation for $15, like it's almost not even worth their time to try to figure it out. And they just put a PO on it and cut a check. And I always wondered what would happen if I sent out 1,000 invoices, how many would pay? And that's what it is. These people are, hey, we need money. There you go. She put on the invoice. How many people are going to pay? It's fishing. And if people don't get it transparent, then why would they donate the money?
God. If they don't know, if you don't tell them, they may not know. So if you don't tell them what's going on, or how to ask questions, how do you expect them to ask those questions?
But you're going to ask the questions a lot stronger. You're a lot smarter. You know a lot more of what's going on. You've had more discussions with other people that are smart. You know, and then all of a sudden you go in there and they're like, holy shit, what are we getting into? Where it doesn't really matter. If Anna's doing whatever she needs to do to get money, and she's doing her thing. We know what we have to do to stand up assemblies, and we have to worry about that. And then, in the end, you won't have to worry about that anymore. But I think it would be worse for your assembly for a Continental Marshal to come out saying those things. That's just my opinion, and as the chief, I ask us to protect that Continental Marshal name. Because that's all they see in you. They only see you as Continental Marshals. No matter what. You can tell them your name all day long, they don't see it. You're a Continental Marshal. So be careful what you say and what you do, because that unknown martial name is attached to you.
When is it that I'm not a continental marshal? Because you told me I wear two hats. One for an assembly member and one for continental marshal. But I'm not doing continental marshal business. I can talk as an assembly person.
But they never see you that way. You know that you can take off that continental marshal hat and function within the assembly, but you take off that hat and holy cow, you need sunglasses. What do you call it? Sunglasses? See that? You need sunglasses to see that. That's what too many U-turns under the sheet. But you can take that hat off, but regardless, when he takes the hat off, he's still continental marshal. And they know that. They still look at him as a continental marshal. They still look at you like that. They know that you can speak for your state, but you don't want to get involved in really anything controversial, where there could be problems for us as a team or for the Federation, If you're representing NFU, they don't want to hear that. You don't want to be representing the Federation and talk down about anything Federation. If we figure out something is wrong, then it's up to us what we do. I told Lisa, and Lisa, she works with Anna all the time. I told Lisa, I really hope that I'm not the chief continental marshal protecting the largest Ponzi scheme ever. And Lisa said, I hope not either. Because neither one of us necessarily agree with those things, but we still have a job to do. And right now, that is still under the Amazon rights stage. All these assemblies are under that stage. And in order to get to where we know we have to get, we need that stage that's already there. So we don't want to harm that stage. And we sure don't want to be continental marshals that harm that stage. If you ever get to a point where you go, okay, this is just not right, I found out too much, then it's up to you to say, hey, you know what, I think I'm going to back away. We'll always be friends forever, but if any of us figure that out, we'll back away. In the same way we figured out, don't spend money. Yeah, so I mean, you already won't spend money. If it comes to the point where you think, okay, I found out too much, I can't do this, well, that's on you. Because of your own values and morals and everything else. But that's also why you're here, because of your values and morals. So we have to still protect that Amazon rights stage and not get caught up in any of it, continue to do what we do and continue to help assembly stand. But I wouldn't point out anything that you're seeing as a problem within the Federation to your assembly. Because the people that you're talking to don't like it. I guess? They don't like it. But that's what I'm saying. So if they don't like you, they're already looking for you to say something else. And that's all I need to say. Chief Richard was slamming Anna or this or that or whatever. And then it becomes a problem because they don't like me either over there because I've defended you, So, and I've gone to Anna because of Glenn, So, but we got to protect the continental marshal name when it comes to our state. And that's one thing I've always said. We got to protect our name, our group, our club, whatever we are. We got to protect us so we're held in the highest of standards. Because people think we're leaders. They think we're cops there to get them. When I told Ohio today, I'm like, nobody likes us. Nobody gives us money. They think we're tough, I go, and what we are is we're pit bulls on a leash. And you guys have hold the leash. Yeah. You let go of the leash when you want to let go of it. But until then, we're there with you. We're not here to bite you. We're here to fight for you. But they don't look at us like that, and they'll find anything they can to knock you down, especially if they're on a census. And I just don't want that. I don't want it coming back to my office. I don't want it knocking the marshal's name, anything, you know. I can't control your voice at all. I just ask that favor that, hey, we're all part of this and just protect all of us when you're speaking. You know? That's all I ask. You know? We know that something ain't right. You and me a lot, you know, okay? I know we people, that there's a lot of things wrong or whatever, but I still have to fight that in my own head. What it is I do. And the only thing I can ever do is go back to my affirmation. That's all I can do. Whoever the criminal is or whatever, you know, taking affirmations, protect the people in their property. You know, we're waiting on the commissions for all you guys to do your affirmations, but I take mine serious, you know? And regardless of who that is that's the criminal, if it's against the people that I affirm to protect, then I'm going to protect them. But if I find out that that's the Federation that's the criminal, then everything I believe is a song. So I wait for the truth to come to me. You know? I don't look as hard. I pay attention, but I don't look into it as hard. I would have never called the International Court to ask them the question you did. I would have never done it.
Well, we're two individuals, and I need to know what's going on. I have to know what's going on. And it doesn't matter if I hold the title as a continental marshal or not. I have a right to find out. Because if you tell me...
You're not getting what I'm saying. Do you know why I would have never done that?
Sorry.
Because I know I'd have got the answer you got.
And?
It's the same thing. You requested it for the answer. I didn't request it because I knew that's the answer I would get.
No. That's what any research I do. We research to find out whether you're on a 10 or a 9 or a 5. You research your land in Tennessee to find out if that's the land you wanted. You research the people in that neighborhood to find out if you can work and live around those individuals. So you research to find out what you needed to know so that you knew how to function where you moved at. If I'm wrong, tell me.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think you're missing what I'm saying. I love the fact that you go do that research. I love it. I love the information that comes. I love your former background and I rely on that, all that. All I said was the only reason why I don't. Because I already know the answer. You know, you do that research because you want to make sure that's the answer. I know it. I know she wasn't going to the Vatican. I know that she didn't have a port in the International Court of Justice. I know that the United States is not part of it, even though their headquarters is in New York. I researched enough. I didn't call and ask if Anna Maria Weisinger has a court case, because I knew damn well what the answer would be.
Well, all you have to do is anybody can get on there without stating their name and request information under the freedom of information.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying? I would do the same research you're doing. I'm just afraid to do it because I know what the fuck the answer is going to be.
So what you're telling me not to do research, answer is
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you know as well as I do that when you did that research, you knew what the answer was going to be. You knew it. You already knew it. And that's that's one thing that we deal with. Our gut instinct is usually correct. But there has to be a deeper answer to it. Why? That's what I want to know. And that's what I try to figure out. That's where I put my feelers out. I try to figure out why. Why are you asking for money and that court case doesn't exist? Why? Because if I can figure out why, then I know better where to look. Because I'm not going to really say anything until I have concrete evidence.
But you will say something.
You know damn well I will.
Okay. When I do things, find out information, then I need to build a folder of all these things and just put it in there. Then when the time arrives, when it's needed, it's there.
Yeah, but you know him. Okay?
No,
No cunning and neither am I. My old boss used to tell me, why the fuck do you keep emailing me these questions? I'm like, why the fuck do you keep calling me on the phone for the answer? I'm emailing you because this is on fucking record. Answer me on email. Don't call me on the phone privately and give me these fucking answers. Answer my fucking email. I want it in writing. I want a paper trail. And it's the same thing here. You do the research, you put it on my table, knowing I'm going to go after it. You know it. You already know it. So I have to try to pick and choose when or how or what I do or how I say it or what. Because if I came out and said everything I had to say, the final losses will be done tomorrow. And I believe that the assembly still need us for that affirmation, and that's what I'm trying to hold to. And it comes down to the fact that the Federation is crooked. I need all 50 states to hire us. I need to be working for all 50 states so that all 50 states can hear the information and all 50 states can bring a grand jury and all 50 states can tell us who to handcuff. But ultimately, we all need to get to that point. If it were Anna herself that needed the handcuffs, it would do us no good if we don't get 50 states standing and get to a grand jury that can give us that order. You can't hang on just Anna because of the money in Royal Family Bank, monopoly money in a bank right now. You can't hang on that. You have to hang on the historical stuff that I've offered $2,000 publicly to prove me wrong, that what we're doing is wrong. So all I say is go with the education she's given, stand up to 50 states, and then we can deal with whatever problems we have in what they call a federation, because a federation won't exist when you get there. When a Continental Congress is up, they are the federation. On air. And then if there's any investigation that we need to do along the way to standing, and it has to go to a court, those courts would already be in session. Those would be there to take people to we'd be able to deal with all of it. And we can't right now. So I pick and choose my battles. But yes, I would say something if I found out. But I know if I say something, we'll fire. As a businessman, I would call in. You're a fiduciary. A fiduciary has prudent man standards. Provide us with books where the money's going. You said that money was coming out of it, and you were taking donations for Jim's health and Harold's health and all that. And if people are sending donations to the same spot they're sending donations for this, then the books are intermingled already. Okay? So how can you show those books and be transparent what money was sent to her compared to what money was sent for because they're all going to the same location. With PayPal or whichever way she's taking money, it's all going to that same location.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the money's mixed. How can you be transparent with that money? You can't ask where all that money went because you don't know how much of it was donated to help medical bills compared to what was donated to help with that. You have no clue. And nobody's going to tell you because she's not going to produce the book. It's her own private stuff.
They tell you to leave the blank and trail where the money is.
This is not, as long as I've been around, I have already heard a couple of times of people trying to ask for financial records and all that, and I don't know, just a maneuver. And it would be the same thing here. But it's all things that we would question with what we look up, the court cases, the money, why, this is the reason you're asking for the money, but this doesn't exist. As soon as you ask those questions, kids become on the marshals for that. So what I want is to get us to a point where the reports are there, the grand juries are there, we all have commissions, and we have a grand jury of people with morals and values telling us what to do. And then we take those orders and go make the arrest and bring them back so that people can stand trial with a jury of their peers, whatever it may be. But right now, if we were to try to take down Anna for doing something, so we can asking her to do it.
About that, I put information to the Department of Marshals from what I researched, and we hope that when you find stuff out, and you do, you bring it to our attention because we are the joint staff. But if you're thinking of trying to pull Anna down or attack Anna, that you're wrong. I'm not trying to do that.
I don't think that. I think if I do, it will be.
But no one's asking you to do that.
I go to Anna and tell Anna that, hey, we looked into it and we have a case. What's the deal with that? We'll ask for money from these people to protect the people of their property. We have the money, spending money, but yet you don't have a court case on the record with the International Court of Justice. We've already called them and checked, both New York and Mexico.
So why would you ask her that? If no one's asking you to ask that, why would you confront her with that?
Wouldn't it be a question people would want to know if there's investigation that needs to be done?
If it comes to your attention, if they simply say, hey, Colonel Marshals, where's our money going and we keep sending her? Now they're asking you a question. But if it's out,
we can't answer that question. We get our orders from a grand jury. They have to form a grand jury and ask that question.
So why would you want to even ask her that question if a grand jury or anything hasn't brought it? Only if a grand jury brings it to your attention. But if it's just us communicating here and giving information back to each other to brighten our knowledge and stuff and what's going on, doesn't mean we have to run and attack Anna with that. It's just information you have that you take and put it in a folder and when needed can be presented.
Well, if anybody has experience in this, saying certain things and people taking it wrong, I'm like the king at it. My tone of voice or whatever, I say things and people take it wrong. When you ask these questions like that, and you're going to the assembly or you ask these questions, they're automatically going to take them wrong. If I said, hey, Anna, just trying to protect you, these questions are coming up, she would get pissed. She would immediately put her details up whatever, would all along. But if I'm the type of guy that if I find something out, I call it out. I call it right out on the floor because I want to see the response I get.
But there's times when you bring that information out and there's times when you don't. So there would be no reason for you to bring that out to her attention at this moment for any reason whatsoever for what you were saying tonight.
The only reason for me is continental marshal. And if I don't ask these questions, then I'm leading a team into a situation that I may not trust myself.
But there was at no time mentioned to you to ask these questions to Anna. What I did was I regurgitated information that I looked up. And nowhere in there did I say, Chief, I think we need to look this up. I think we need to follow up on this. I think something's not right. Not one time.
You asked me if I would be the one to say something. And I told you damn straight I would. That's why I said, you're no dummy. Like, you put it on my table, you know. I'm going to usually confront it. Now, I'm not confronting this that you said it, because I'm picking and choosing my battles. That's what I tried to explain. But it is very much in the forefront of my mind, if I'm leading a team of guys, and I want you guys to recruit more guys, and do all this stuff, if what we're doing is wrong. It's very much in the forefront of my mind. And all you guys that have worked with me know that. I have put the brakes on shit, like when Joe was trying to monetize everything, or, Joe wanted to run Continental Marshals the way it is, he kicked you out. And I had to keep putting the brakes on him because of the Continental Marshals name. I've talked to all you guys about protecting the Continental Marshals name and what you say, what advice you give, what you're teaching. Because everybody hears Continental Marshals. That's it. They don't hear your name. They don't care very much education up. They hear Continental Marshals. Period. And leading that team, I don't want to lead you guys into something like Joe is, who just allowing these clowns to go run amok and do what they want and get a bad name. CKTM has a bad name for itself. And we've avoided that, other than being peacekeepers. They think we're against them instead of for them. That's just ignorant.
That's why they want to answer those questions.
That's the ignorant. But we haven't gotten that bad name like PKTF has. And we don't have a whole lot of people because it's hard to bring people in, even stagnant the way we are or whatever, no commissions, there's really a whole lot of nothing. We're nowhere near close until we have grand jury.
But you bring people in, people somewhere. If you come aboard because we're going to have this money and we're going to do this and that or the other with it, that's the only reason why people come on board. They think that this big part of money is there, then when they get there, it's not there. So they sort of start dwindling away from being in the assemblies. There's several people I spoke to, what are they paying? I said, at this time, they're not paying anything. I said, we're trying to get things to reconstruction. I said, oh, man, I don't want to work for free.
Yeah. And that is what they want. But we know the history part of it, why we're needed, So we're trying to get there. When all hell breaks loose, there'll be a lot of applicants. We'll be able to filter it, and we'll probably even move that for too. Bringing people in, I mean, I can do vetting interviews or whatever and pretty much get a good feel for who and what's what, too. I can do it that way, and then the educate as we go. So I'm not necessarily worried about that. We can figure that out as we go. So we're going to have to set up a whole back office and all the IT and, website, landing site, all the different shit for people to be able to come in and apply or look at what we do or what, We have to set all that stuff back up, our own paperwork, our own building, training centers, all the different shit that we talked about long ago. But we can't do any of that without funding. Then it's going to be, okay, we're busy. Now we're trying to figure out as joint chiefs, what the fuck are we doing with all this money? How are we setting up? Where are we putting these buildings Are we setting up again, or we just preparing our chairs and set up here, use theirs, or what are we doing, Where are these quotes going to be at for the postal quotes so that we know where we're stationed and working? Where are we going to spend overtime? How are we going to travel?
We don't need to go. You can contact us. Like you said, share anyone.
Right. That's it. And so that also has to be set up. The brick and mortar buildings also have to be set up that these courts are running through. That are giving us our orders. We have to have vehicles to transport, and all of it. We have got deputies that are out going and doing the damn job of picking them up and transporting them and everything else too. We got a whole lot to do, and it's really hard to do it or to find the dedication when we don't have funding and we don't have anything able to do or commission. Nothing. We're nobody. We're nobody, and until we have that, we don't push that issue, We'll get it in time, I hope. And when it comes, the thing I like is I kind of backed away from it, although I'm involved with what the contract looks like, the design of the stars, all that different shit. But Lisa had that talk with me, and Lisa wanted to, okay, well, let me get Anna here and try to get it all set up. And then Lisa took it upon herself to go find the stars and go find security paper again and all that, because David found the security paper before and sent it to us twice. They didn't do nothing with it. So I'm like, okay, hand it over to Lisa, let Lisa do it. So now Lisa is forceful too. So Lisa's like, okay, Anna, here you go, here's everything. So Anna can't hide from it. Lisa's going to keep pitching shit to her. Here you go, get them their commission. So we're not doing it. I'm letting Lisa do it. And that is the state that's standing. And if they find out that, hey, we've been pushing for all this shit, and Lisa herself is working hard on getting it, and finds out that the outcome is the same thing I told her that we've been trying to get these for years, and now she thought she was close, and then all of a sudden, finishing up the paperwork and mine, this, that, whatever the deal is. Anna won't put her autograph on it, then she'll be able to see firsthand that we're not getting commission at this time. I'm just waiting. And if she gives us our commission and our stars, then great. Great. But if not, there's nothing I can do about it. She'll see it herself, and then you'll have a state that's standing that is now questioning it themselves. And then let them ask those difficult questions why. Just let everything fall into place. But the only way it's going to fall into place is getting our assemblies stood up. And that was another thing. You guys need to pay more attention to being involved with your assemblies. So at least, if you're not getting the invite to go to the other assemblies in your area, or not pushing hard for recruiting, although we still need to recruit, at least go to your own assembly and have a voice to get to where you can set stuff up, Sean and I are pretty active in Tennessee, and Tennessee is almost standing, But if people are talking, they don't know. Like even in California, Dave, a lot of people don't even know you. We had a guy the other day on town hall, and he didn't even know who you were. But he knows Joey, and I told him, well, tell Joey to come to town hall too, because I used to work with Joey. And so he was going to tell Joe, but he had things to say about California and all that on town hall. And we sent out that invite, so you guys are all more than welcome to come to town hall too. And it's been really good calls. A lot of different states are involved. We're able to do recruiting there too because more states are involved. So I'd really like it if you guys were involved in that too. there's a lot of people who show up there. How many states do we have, Sean?
We have 4 or 5 last week.
Yeah, something like that. And people reaching out. There's one guy, pretty smart, reaching out to Sean's information, and he's from Oregon. Like, okay, this is a guy that wants to do something where he wants to do something good for his state. I mean, he's responsible. He could be a continental marshal and wants information, but it would be a lot easier if somebody from his area is there on the meeting. County hall would be a good spot for continental marshals not only to answer questions, be involved in the whole discussion you have. It's a really friendly environment, and a lot of knowledge there. The people that were all here today from Ohio, they're on the call every week, every other week when we do it.
Now, do you send out a invitation? Okay,
You should getting it directly from Debbie Joe. Debbie Joe sends it out, and then we take that link and send it out to you again. But you should
I'm not getting no links. I'm not getting any links.
I sent it to Proton Mail to you once or twice, Richard.
It'll come across your screen. Your email is FS coordinator.
Nope, nothing. Nothing.
I sent the link too.
I'm not getting them. I'm not getting anything. If I'm getting links, I come on Tuesday just to hear what's going on and how it's being presented and how it's answered. Because I spoke to Sean about that.
It'll be in your chief email, not your other.
I look on, I don't have anything coming to me. And if it does come in, like one couple of times you said you had a good meeting, you have a meeting, but there's no way of me getting into that meeting. How do I get into that meeting without an invite?
Make sure that the email is correct or whatever, send it to Sean or type it in the chat and Sean can write it down.
Sean has to have myself, if we communicate a couple of times, I can get that, you can just send that right out to me. Can I know?
No, we can put you on the mailer, so that way when Debbie Joe sends it out, it comes to you automatically. All the continental markets will supposed to be on that mailer.
Yeah, right? You hit them little 3 dots.
What's that?
Hit them little 3 dots. Make sure sometimes I do that. If it's a forward, I miss it because I didn't hit the little 3 dots. Drives me bananas.
When you're email, you gotta click the 3 dots, which that does.
Okay, just for shits and giggles, send it to me this year, please. This way that I know that it's coming and I can look out for it better. So, Sean, you get that up to me?
It's the same link every week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I never got one. I never got one. I don't even know how to get on the list. That's why I'm requesting it now.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. So,
I'm trying to find it again, too, to forward it.
Okay, appreciate it. Gentlemen, we're going on for 2 hours here. I think I'm going to get off this call here.
I'm not ready to just hang on one sec.
Okay.
Hey, are you going to put that zip in the chat, or what?
Here goes the Tennessee Town Hall. And it's the same link every week, okay, that's on there.
Okay.
You can email this address. Let's see.
I don't like Proton Mail. Sucks.
See if you got an email from me right now.
Yeah, I got it. I had to hit the 3 little dots, but it went out. It went out to Area 1 from Paul, and then I replied to that one and sent the link out, I think.
I'm looking at my mail column. Okay, I see one out joined up on Tuesday that just popped up.
Yeah.
That was the last week, though. But it's still the same link, so that way when you save that email, put it in a file there and save that link, then all we have to do is send you a message to tell you, hey, the meeting's tonight, and you can click that link and go in.
Okay. Yeah, right here.
Let's take that where it says address coordinator. Do I forward it to you? There's the address coordinator on